now this is the top 10 wisdom typing units. The first one on my list is the new Wisdom Blazing Bash Pain. He's 3-6 chakra, can nullify mobilization, increase damage by 40% on heart types, body types, or skill types and body types. And then he also has a 40% chance to get a reset on his ninjutsu, so that's really good too. And his buddy skill is really broken. Boost speed by 50. So if you have like the body Shisui in front and then this pain underneath it on your PvP team, you will most likely never lose a speed race. And the only time you would lose a speed race is if your opponent has the same setup as you do. So that's really good. For his ninjutsu is 5.5 times attack toward one enemy in range, knocking them back with a 75% chance of chakra recovery ceiling for 4 turns. And it also reduces their chakra gauge by 3, so it takes away 3 of their chakra. And then it rolls them back on the speed gauge. And the pushback is kind of like the body Kaguya, so the pushback is really good. And then the secret technique removes perfect dodge and barrier for one enemy on screen and ignores damage reduction effects. And substitution with 18 times attack toward them. And it has a 90% chance of immobilization for 3 seconds. So the only thing that kind of sucks about him is that he's single target on both his ninjutsu and secret technique. But other than that, his ninjutsu and his buddy skill are amazing. Um, his speed is pretty good too. He's like 390 speed, I think. Let me see his sync skills. You can nullify jutsu ceiling if you sync with a Akatsuki. Then he has an ability that nullifies immobilization. So pretty good. The next unit is 3rd Anniversary Kakashi. He will nuke the bravery type and he'll have a high chance of resetting on secret techniques. So 90% increase to bravery attack. 90%. 50% chance to get a reset on his red ring. And he starts the match with red ring if you have this ability. Reduce damage by 20 to 30% with a 20 to 30% chance of dodging an attack as his field skill. That's really good. His buddy skill reduces the chance of receiving immobilization and jutsu ceiling by 40% each. His ninjutsu removes everything and 7 times attack toward bravery elements and 6 times toward the rest, and he restores his chakra back. The secret technique ignores everything, gets rid of everything, whatever. 20 times attack toward bravery elements and 18.2 towards the rest. Next unit is this Naruto, and he is a very good healer and can get resets, ninjutsu and secret technique, and has resistance against immobilization and jutsu ceiling. Notify chakra reduction field effect, 800 healing, can't get immobilized, and 60% resistance for jutsu ceiling, 30% a reset on red ring, 30 for ninjutsu. Field skill boosts critical rate by 2.5 to 3 times and attack by 200 to 250, and his buddy skill restores 400 health. His ninjutsu ignores substitution for one enemy in range, 5 times attack, and the enemy receives increased damage from their non-effective elemental affinities by 30% for 6 turns. Secret technique ignores substitution for one enemy on screen, 17.5 times attack toward them, and 90% chance of health recovery ceiling for 6 turns, and restores 2,000 of your own health for 2 turns. So 4,000 total. Next unit on the list is Hinata. She boosts attack by 2 times during combinations, changes the area of effect for ninjutsu to include all enemies in range, boosts attack by 2 times when your health reaches 50% or less, 25% chance to dodge, ignores perfect dodge and does damage, and boosts critical rate by 2.5 times and attack by 300. For his field skill, reduces bravery elemental damage by 30 to 35%, and buddy skill does the same thing except it's only 30%. His ninjutsu ignores substitution and damage reduction effects with 4.8 times attack toward them. And Red Ring AoE removes barrier and ignores damage reduction effects with 15 times attack toward them and nullifies. You can't get hit from basic attacks. The next unit on my list is Izuna. He has an increased damage to hard elements by 25%, to skill by 25%, and to body 25%. He ignores substitution and does damage, and has the ability where it boosts attack by 25% every time you defeat the enemy up to 100%. For his field skill, he reduces bravery elemental enemy speed by 40 to 60, and buddy skill boosts bravery attacks by 350. His ninjutsu is a 5.2 times attack toward all enemies in range, and the enemy receives increased damage from their non-effective elemental affinities by 20% for 4 turns. The secret technique ignores damage reduction effects for all enemies in range with 14.1 times attack toward them, 80% chance of attack weakening for 5 turns, and or jutsu ceiling for 5 turns each. And he also goes under 28 cost, so he's a really good under 28 cost unit. The next unit on my list is Samari Sakura. It can heal up to 900 health every turn and has a 20% chance of dodging a physical attack. His field skill is boost attack by 125 to 250, and his buddy skill restores 300 health. His ninjutsu restores 3500 health of one ally in range and cures them with slip damage, and the secret technique is 11 times attack toward one enemy in range and knocks them back. She is very good healer for under 28 costs, so she's very good. Next unit on my list is this new Obito. He is amazing. He has resets for ninjutsu, his secret technique, he nullifies immobilization, jutsu ceiling, and he ignores perfect dodge. He has reduced damage by 30% and 30% chance to dodge, 40% reset for ninjutsu, 50% reset for red ring. It's just amazing. Field skill reduces bravery and wisdom elemental damage by 20 to 40%, which is good, and buddy skill boosts attack by 400. His ninjutsu's AoE ignores damage reduction effects and substitution with 6.5 times attack toward them, and you can't be touched by ninjutsu or secret technique for 3 turns, which you can stack up if you get resets, which you most likely will because it's 40%. And its secret technique is 26.5 times attack toward one enemy in range and knocks them back while gaining perfect dodge against 8 attacks for 5 turns. So that means you can't get hit by your red ring when you use your red ring either. He is amazing. Next unit on my list is Ambu Kakashi. He has 50% more damage to wisdom types, 30% more damage to bravery types, reduced damage taken by 25%, and nullified jutsu ceiling. His field skill reduces wisdom elemental enemy speed by 30 to 40, and buddy skill reduces the chance of receiving movement restriction by 25%, so pretty good. And his ninjutsu 5.7 times attack toward all enemies in range and knocks them back, 75% chance of switch ceiling for 4 turns, plus 80% chance of restricting their movement to short range for 4 turns. That's really good, because once you switch seal them, they basically can't do nothing, so that's good for PvP. For his secret technique, he removes perfect dodge and barrier for one enemy in range, ignoring substitution and damage reduction effects with 16.5 times attack toward them. The only thing that this Kakashi is missing that would make him like really good is immobilization resistance, but he doesn't have it, so that's one thing bad about him, but overall he's still good. Next unit is this Hashirama, and he is OP. He can crit every time, he can one-shot anyone on PvP, and he has resistance and immobilization and jutsu ceiling by 45% and nullifies chakra recovery ceiling. He's just amazing. His field skill boosts attack by 200 250 and restores 250 to 300 health, and his buddy skill boosts critical rate by 3 times and attack by 250. His ninjutsu changes the element of one enemy in range to bravery for 3 turns with 5 times attack toward them, knocking them back, and 20% damage boost against your effective elemental affinities for 3 turns. And his ultimate ignores substitution and damage reduction effects for one enemy in range with 18.5 times attack toward them and knocks them back. The enemy receives increased damage from their non-effective elemental affinities by 30% for 6 turns. So he's gonna crit every time and do an insane amount of damage. He is OP. The next unit is New Year's Hashirama. He is very good for Ninja Road or any PVE mission because he reduces or he attack weakens the enemy. So his first ability, 10% chance of restoring 1 chakra gauge when dealing direct attacks. Resistance against immobilization by 60%. Nullifies chakra reduction field. Resistance for jutsu ceiling by 60%. Nullifies knockback and 30% chance to get a resound in jutsu. His field skill boosts wisdom attacks by 15 to 750, which is OP, and buddy skill restores 400 health. His ninjutsu 5.7 times to the whole map. It's AoE. 90% chance of health recovery ceiling for 6 turns. 70% chance of attack weakening for 5 turns, and you can't get hit by ninjutsu or secret technique for 3 turns. The secret technique removes like everything, and 18 times toward all of them. 100% chance of health recovery ceiling for 8 turns. So very good. So honorable mentions for the wisdom typing is Hinata, the PvP one. Um, Hinata, Beyond the Ceaseless, and Madara. Madara is good for AoE damage, so it's pretty good for damage. Hinata, Beyond the Ceaseless is good for damage and resets. And then Hinata, the PvP one, is good for the speed and PvP.